Hi guys, right, so this is Battlebots episode 12. Start off straight away with Minotaur against Shatter. So Minotaur are they lost to Desperado, but they kind of still got some chance to prove themselves here. And they very much did, I feel, against Shatter. They were back to their old form, just like shredding until the other robot just dies or has a big hit, in this case. You can see me at the start of this fight saying fight, which is fun. So yeah, I think the ablative armor on Shatter worked really well, but just with Minotaur, it just wore it down until it finally reached the actual chassis, and then it threw it into the air. So I'm guessing if it didn't have that armor, it would have been hit into the air straight away, essentially. So the ablative armor did do its job, but it's just not designed for that level of punishment, I guess. But yeah, this again, like, such a moment live when Minotaur had Shatter like pinned in the corner, was just shredding. There was sparks, and that was, you know what, 10 feet in front of me, if that. Like, my favorite robot ripping stuff apart. It was, yeah, such a moment, such a cool moment to see. Son of Huarachi versus Kraken. So this is one of those ones you're like, well, this isn't going to go well for them. But to be fair, Kraken took several pretty big hits there and carried on coming back. And actually, from the get-go, they box rushed Son of Huarachi and actually had them for a moment, but let go, unfortunately. I loved when Son of Huarachi actually hit Kraken and it landed on its back. And you had Chris just saying, going on about the 7-minute ab program, because it looks like it's trying to do like a little sit-up. That was my sit-up there. Regular hitter of the gym, me. Yeah, and I like at the end when they Son of Huarachi spinning down, the blade is barely moving, and the Minibot goes over it, just like it wasn't even there. That was good. Next up was Wanhu versus Railgun Max. This is the two Chinese teams coming in. Initially I thought Wanhu is just, the weapon is just too small for me. But then if you look at the chunk that's come out of the egg beater on Railgun Max, it clearly does pack a punch, as it were. But overall Railgun Max just had the more dominant hits. And then yeah, it's just a pushing match at the end. You get to see the tyre smoke being kicked out there. It's good to hear both the acknowledgement of King of Bots, if not necessarily in name, in Battlebots, in another rival show essentially, and the fact that they got 80 million viewers. That seems like a warped statistic, but if that's true, then that's awesome. We then had a little bit of the show, which was like highlights of untelevised fights, and I can't believe they didn't show Foxtrot and Mammoth. I saw that fight; it was hilarious. It was fantastic. It was like a rematch from online as well. So yeah, I don't know why they didn't show that, but. Also, another surprise, 4 Horsemen versus Sub-Zero. That was a really good fight. And the 4 Horsemen actually, they used the spinner to take out like the batteries on Sub-Zero, and then the little wedge just like full on shoved it into the wall. It was really cool to see. And considering we got no fights at all from 4 Horsemen this year, I think that would have been a good one to show. But, you know, again, as always, I don't know the ins and outs of all the editing they go through and their criteria, so yeah. Next fight we had was Witch Doctor versus Gigabyte, and in terms of spectacle, this was the favourite fight that I saw over there, just hands down. Definitely one of the moments that stuck in my mind. So Witch Doctor proving that box rushing is again a really legitimate technique nowadays, and just like slamming straight into them. And then the height achieved from their hits was just staggering. like again, at the time, I was, you know, when you're looking up at a robot that's been hit by a spinner, like really up, yeah, just absolutely mind-blowing, and like repeatedly as well. Poor Gigabyte didn't really get a chance to spin up much at all, but they got a real good chance to show off their self-righting arm, which was working to perfection like numerous times in this fight. And yeah, so that was kind of good to see, because we don't often see that, you know, usually it just falls off or whatever. So yeah, Witch Doctor, again, the weapon did break down after a while, so that's why I think they'll go very far this season, but for me, Death Roll still have it over them just because of the weapon reliability. That's purely it. Next up was Breakerbox versus Bloodsport. I think Bloodsport had a little bit of panic driving at the start, but obviously they came back very much against Breakerbox and ripped the whole wedge off, much in the same way as they did with Lucky's wedge. Obviously that's their signature, is just ripping wedges straight off. Yeah, not really that much else to say about this fight, to be honest. Just, yeah, another solid win from newcomers Bloodsport. And next fight was Texas Twister against Whiplash. And I feel so bad for Texas Twister, because it looks like a really cool design, but they just barely got a chance to think in this one. Whiplash were just on them straight away, and wouldn't let up at all. Just some of the most aggressive driving I think we've seen all season. Poor Texas Twister, the weapon motor exploded in flames, and they were just thrown around and just wrecked. Yeah, very dominant performance by Whiplash there. And the final fight of the night was Bronco versus Huge. So again, this is one of the ones that I saw live in person. And I was like, yeah, okay, here's my second chance. Finally, I'm going to get to see Bronco. And I thought about Huge, and I was like, they're not going to be able to flip that thing at all, are they? It's just too awkward a design. But fair enough, they proved me wrong. They got a few good flips in the battle, and I didn't expect them to get any. They also managed to have Huge on top of them at one point, and they didn't flip. When I don't know the reason for that. It looked like a perfect opportunity with it caught there, but I guess they were going for the pin rather than anything else. You know, the more time that weapon isn't spinning, the less dangerous it is, obviously. And I think it's easy to overlook that Huge's weapon is just so devastating. You know, it's got to be one of the biggest verticals out there, and it's just, again, it never seems to break down. It's just, yeah, it's a good weapon. So that was actually the last of all the fights that I've seen live. So I can finally talk about everything that I've seen there. There's nothing I don't have to worry about giving away spoilers at all. So that's good. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. I certainly enjoyed seeing it being filmed. Thank you very much for watching, and cheerio. See you in the next video. You can see me at the fart. You can see me fart. Yeah, you can't. I mean, you know, if that's a highly requested video, maybe, but